Because of family problems that I had growing up as a child, I didn't get along with my mum. We used to argue a lot, and through this I was felt very isolated. I started running away from home at a very young age, raving at the age of 12 years old, just doing things like, being disobedient to my parents, didn't want to listen to nobody. And through this I got involved with the wrong crowd. I was drinking alcohol nearly every day, stealing it as well from my mum. This developed into me just rebelling. And then through that, I had many children. I had 13 children in total. I started smoking crack cocaine at the age of 18, 19. I didn't care about myself, I didn't care about my family, my children. Through the addiction, I lost my house, I lost my children was removed from my care. Some of them got adopted, 4 of them got adopted, was taken away from me. I started attending the church. I got myself engaged in a chain of prayer. I was coming on a Wednesday, Friday, and on a Sunday. But I wasn't really able to break free from this. At the time, I remember there was a campaign of Israel that came up. So I took part in that because 25 years of addiction, I had enough. And I saw the testimonies, everyone's testimony, so I said, this is for me. And today, I'm free, I'm happy. I no longer have that desire to smoke, to drink, to prostitute myself. And I have a relationship with my children now. My son is in the church today as well, and I'm very happy.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. And in this week's special dedicated to mothers, since Sunday is Mothering Sunday, we're talking about the relationship between daughter and mother. Not son and mother, but daughter and mother. For some reason, people seem to think or to say that the relationship between the daughter and the mother is always a little bit more difficult. Hence the reason why there is the term of daddy's little girl and not mommy's little girl. Right, Michael?
Yes, hi James. It's true.
Why is that, you think?
I think fathers are a lot more lenient on daughters.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think they give them more room. If I had a daughter, I know they're cute in the son. I'll probably more firm on my son than my daughter.
And I think with the dad, with the daughter, usually what he wants to do is to treat her like a princess, make sure she has everything. The mom wants to prepare her for the future, and maybe is a little bit more strict. And actually we have someone in the studio that we're going to be talking to a little bit later, that she has daughters and she has also a son. So she'll tell us if this is right. We're just speculating here at the moment. But for some reason, people seem to say that relationship between mother and daughter sometimes can get quite heated. I've even read a few comments here earlier with the word hate. Right?
That's a very strong word.
Very strong word, right?
For a mother or daughter to hate her mother. I don't know why. I'm trying to get my head around that comment as well.
Possibly because when you talk about teenagers, young people, they throw the word hate around a lot. And sometimes they don't really hate them, they're upset with the parents, but they say, I hate you, I wish I was never born into this family, right?
Yeah, I mean, I actually said a stronger word than hate to my mum when I was quite young, and I got a beating for that. I actually said, I wish you were dead.
And was that the only time you said that?
That was the only time and the last time, but it was out of anger, upset, but of course I didn't want my mum dead. So when a daughter says to their mum, I hate you, it's in that moment. Of course they don't hate them.
Right. And if you're watching us now and you say, look, James, actually, my case is that my relationship with my daughter is amazing, it's perfect. We have no problems, no arguments. Then that's great. Perhaps you're doing something that other mothers are not doing. Perhaps you have a secret that they can use, that they can tap into, that they're not aware, right? So you can give us a call. But if you say, James, my relationship with my daughter is good at times, and at other times is really horrible. I heard a news broadcast some time ago of some mothers who were calling into this talk show saying, I cannot stand my daughter anymore. I love her, but I can't stand what she's doing to me and what she's doing to the family. Perhaps you're going through something like that and you want to let us know your experience, to let us know perhaps how difficult it is, or maybe you have something that you want to let other people know that has worked for your family. I'll give you the number in just a moment, but first I want you to watch this video. That is a funny video, but some truths perhaps underlying it. Have a look.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yeah, I'm sorry, officer.
Can I see your papers, please? Hello. Mummy in a bit of a hurry, was she? Step out of the car, madam! Step out of the vehicle now!
Oh my God, right. I'm sure it's not quite like that, right? But sometimes daughters do some things that cause problems at home, right? I don't know, maybe you have a situation that you want to share with us. Perhaps you had problems like this before, but you found a formula that really works for you and your family now is closer than ever before. Then let us know. Perhaps what you're going to say is going to help others, right? The number to call is 020-7686-6300. That's 020-7686-6300. Or you can send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to a mother who's here with us now. And she has been on the two sides. She's now on the good side, but there's also been a bad side. Perhaps not against her, but her family was very troublesome. But by the power of faith, she overcame these problems. We're going to go into a break. We'll be right back.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Mondays, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesdays, prayers for healing. Wednesdays, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursdays, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturdays, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sundays, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
If you're a single mother suffering from a troubled past, then don't lose hope. There's always someone you can turn to. We understand. With all the challenges of everyday life, the financial responsibility, and the pressure of being a single parent, life can be overwhelming at times. Single parents and their children can flourish, but without the right support, a family can fall apart. The Tamar Group is there for lone parents who need guidance, support and encouragement to get them through their everyday battles. Whether it's a group discussion, a mother and child bonding session or some personal advice, we are here for you. Everyone needs a helping hand at one point or another. Let us be yours. For more information on our meetings and where the nearest Tamar Group is to you, then visit our website uckg.org/Tamar or give us a call on 020 7686 6000.
Welcome back. Now tonight we have a few examples of relationships between mothers and daughters in the celebrity world, right? These are people that perhaps you'll recognize, some of them, and their relationships between mother and daughter has been widely publicized in the world, and perhaps some of the things that happen there, perhaps not on the same scale, but maybe some of them have affected your family. And we hope that the prayer we'll make at the end we'll be making a special prayer for you who has perhaps a volatile relationship with your daughter, that this can be mended. And also, on Mothering Sunday, in the church, we'll be giving a rose to every mother, which I'll explain to you a little bit later. But first, let's see the first example between Britney Spears and Lynn Spears.
Mother-daughter relationship number 1, Britney Spears and her mother, Lynn Spears. The pop princess and her mum used to be thick as thieves, but after Lynn sent her daughter to rehab with the help of former husband Kevin Federline, Spears allegedly wrote a poem to her mum, stating that she didn't have a mother anymore. Spears reportedly delivered the poem along with a restraining order claiming that her mother, Lynn, was abusing prescription medication. The feud finally ended in late 2007 when the pair reunited shortly after Britney had lost custody of her 2 children.
That's actually quite sad, right? I remember that when we had the street questions, I think yesterday, there were some people saying that the people they most admire, I think a couple of days ago, it's their parents. Actually, one young man said that his mother brought him up on his own and he really admired her. And I have the same kind of admiration for my mother. And I think it's very sad for someone to go to the length that Britney Spears went through of getting her mother restraining orders. Certainly, things can be resolved in a much more profitable and easier way, right? So that's some food for thought. If something's not right in your family, there are usually ways that are better ways to solve problems like this without having, for things to blow up out of proportion. Now, I have a mother here with me, a mother who has daughters, but also a son, and she'll be telling us her experience, how she coped with the battles and the stress of bringing up her family at some points in her life by herself. How are you, Verona?
I'm fine, thanks.
You okay?
Yes, thanks.
3 girls, 1 boy?
2 boys.
2 boys?
Yes.
2 boys. Oh yes, it's true. 3 girls, 2 boys.
2 boys.
Which one gives you the most hard work, boys or girls?
Oh, definitely boys, I would say. Yeah, in terms of hard work, boys. But in terms of relationships, I would say girls.
So girls are more difficult?
They're more difficult.
Why is that? I was saying earlier, perhaps in my side was an assumption, but that dads treat girls like little princesses and give them everything, but mums want to be more, want to prepare them for the future. Do you think that's what it is?
Well, yeah, you're the one, as a mother, you're the one who often sets boundaries and sanctions and all of that, and girls are not really receptive to their mother saying, don't do this because I know the outcome. Because usually mothers, they've been there before, they've made the mistakes, and what they're trying to do is to avoid their daughters from making the mistakes or repeating the mistakes that they've made.
Right.
And often daughters find that really difficult to accept.
So they run to daddy.
And that's where they run to daddy, and daddy kind of, smooths things over, so that's why the relationship with a father is often easier than with a mother.
Now, your family itself, you've been through a lot in your family, right?
Yes.
But tell us how all the problems started, as far as you can remember.
Well, I am an only child. I've got no siblings. And my mother was very strict. And she raised me with really strict morals, values. And because of that, I think when I met my first boyfriend, I married him. He became my husband, and I got married at a very young age. I think I was 17 at the time.
That's very young.
Very young, and settled down to have a family because all I wanted to do was to be a wife. Didn't have any other career dreams. That was my career. However, my husband, you know, we were good. We settled down. We got married, had our first child, and then had a second child. And by the time I had my third child, my husband, he just changed from the person that I knew to somebody completely the opposite of the person that I knew.
How had he been until that point, until having the first child? What kind of husband was he?
He was my best friend, because we knew each other from childhood. We played together when we were kids. So I knew him all my life, basically. And he was my best friend. We had a very good relationship, very close. Our marriage was a very good marriage. And he was a hard-working man. You know, I was at home looking after the children, and he was working, providing for us. And we were happy, you know. And within a space of 3 months, my husband just changed, you know, from the time I gave birth to my first daughter. He just changed into a complete stranger overnight. Didn't know why. You know, he would get up, go to work, not talk to me, not interact with the children, stop providing for us financially.
Because usually the one who changes after birth is the woman.
It's the woman,
with things like postnatal depression and all that kind of stuff. But do you know why he changed like that? Or you till today you don't know?
Well, now I presume, now looking back and thinking about things and all the things that happened, now I can actually say, well, you know, he suffered from depression, which I knew nothing about then. He was a gambler. He gambled our savings, which I knew nothing about then. It's only now that I realized, oh my gosh, this is what brought this on. But at the time, I was just baffled by his behavior, you know, to the point where, you know, he would not provide for us and leave us without food, not paying the bills in the house. And I was having to take my children to my mom's house and asking her to feed them, asking her money to buy them clothes. And
that must have been embarrassing, if not humiliating for you, right? To go to your mom because your husband wasn't providing anymore?
Yeah.
How did you feel at that time?
Well, initially I didn't want to go to my mom, because the thing is, my mother never wanted me to marry him, believe it or not. She never liked him and never wanted me to marry him. So whenever anything happened in my marriage, I felt I couldn't go to my mom, because I knew initially she never liked him. So when he started behaving in that way, I didn't feel that I could go to her. You know, I actually went to her when things became really critical, when I felt, well, I needed to feed my children.
So first of all, you suffered in silence.
Yes, I did.
And then you didn't want to go to your mom because she didn't like him from the beginning.
Yes, yeah.
Could this be also because of this mother-daughter relationship? Did you have problems in the relationship with your mom at some point?
Well, yes, because, you know, when I married him, she was dead set against it. And for me, I always had that barrier between us. That barrier was always there, because I always knew my mom, she doesn't like my husband. You know, she never will like my husband. And so there was always this initial barrier there, you know. So hence the reason why when anything went wrong in my marriage, I didn't feel I could go to her, because I knew she would say, I told you not to marry him.
Right. Your dad, did he ever disapprove of this person?
Well, my dad, he's a very quiet person, and he never really voiced what he felt. You know, he was always neutral, and he still is a very neutral person. He wouldn't say anything about anything, you know. So I never knew how he felt about him. He never told me.
Right. So in this instance, what we were saying earlier is true, right? Because the relationship between you and your mom was more strained than you and your dad because of the problem in your marriage.
Yeah.
So how did things come to a head with that husband you had at that time? What happened?
Well, it escalated to the point where my husband, his behavior became such where one day he just wanted he threw me out. First, he threw me out of the bedroom, didn't want me to sleep in his bedroom anymore. I was sleeping on the floor in my children's room. And then it turned from there to beating the children when I'm not at home. If I ever left the children alone with him, I remember one example where I actually went out. It was, you know, summertime, and I went out to the market, and when I got back home, it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The house was in darkness, and he'd send the children to bed and drew the curtains. And I remember Shireen was the eldest one. And I said, well, you know, why are you guys sleeping? And she said, Mommy, as soon as you left, Daddy beat us and sent us to bed. And at that point, I knew there was something terribly wrong, and I needed to take my children out of that environment. But then I was quite young, didn't know where to go, couldn't, like I said, couldn't turn to my mom, you know, holding back, you know, not knowing what to do. And eventually, I did tell my mom, and she said, look, you need to take the children away from this environment, because if you don't, social services will. And when she said that, I knew I needed to do something. So I remember taking the children that day and going to stay with my mom for that night. And my plan was the following day I would return to the house when my husband had gone to work, and then I would take my things, the children things, and we would move on. The following morning when I returned to the house, I looked for his car before I went to the house and didn't see his car, so I presume he'd gone to work. So the following morning when I returned, put the key through the door. As soon as I opened the door, he was standing behind the door, and he grabbed hold of me, had a huge butcher's knife, and he put it to my throat, and he said, where are the children? And at that time, my two youngest girls, Gemma was just a baby and Melissa was a toddler. We had a nursery downstairs in the block where we lived, and I said, well, Shireen's at school, but Melissa and Gemma is in the nursery. And he said, I want you to go downstairs, get them, and come back up. And I said yes, because obviously he was holding a knife to my throat, so I felt I needed to say yes to get out. And so he let me go, but then I knew when I left I would not have returned to that flat with my children. So
this was not the same person that you had married?
Oh, definitely not.
Right, he changed completely.
I couldn't recognize him. It was just somebody completely different.
Tell us about the tragedy that happened. Was it that same day or was it shortly afterwards?
Well, no. I was then taken, you know, after I went to the nursery. He followed me at the nursery and he tried to kill me there, but he didn't. The police came and I was taken into a refuge with the children. And I think this happened on a Wednesday, Thursday. And I spent the weekend, I spent the Wednesday, Thursday, and the Friday we went to court. And the whole point of the court was for the court to make an order to ask him to leave the family home so that the children and I could return. And we went to court on that Friday. Again, I didn't recognize him when we were in court. He didn't look at me, he didn't speak to me. He wouldn't answer anything the judge had to say. So an order was passed by the judge that he should, you know, use that weekend to find alternative accommodation so that myself and the children could move to the flat. But then what he did after court, he was later seen on CCTV. He drove his car to a petrol station, took a petrol can out of the boot of the car, filled the petrol can and drove off. And later on I was told he went to the flat, he spread the petrol all over the flat. And for some reason he didn't actually light the match. He sat down and waited for a while. The fumes, all the windows, all the doors to the building was locked and bolted from the inside. And then when he eventually lit the match, he created a bomb. So the whole flat exploded.
Right.
With him inside.
So that must have been something traumatic for you and for your kids to find out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for now. We're going to come back after the break because we're running out of time. But picture that, a family that were at one point very happy, then all of a sudden everything started to go wrong. And you were just saying, Verona, that he started to get really depressed and change after your first child.
After my third child.
Third child,
yes.
Okay. So how long did it take between that and the house blowing up with him inside there?
Well, 3 months.
3 months. In the space of 3 months,
yeah,
he changed completely to the point that you lost him.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to see how her life became after that and how she managed to rebuild her life. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
pessimism, insecurity, afraid of taking risks, doubts, inability, lack of confidence, professional failures, complexes, lack of qualifications, the fear of losing your job. These and other thoughts can lead you to a miserable life. Every Monday, we hold a motivational seminar that can help you break through financially. Here you will discover how to eliminate thoughts of poverty and acquire a rich mind that can help you conquer the successful life that you dream of. Especially at 7:30 p.m, but also at 7 a.m, 10 a.m, and 3 p.m. at all UCKG help centres. For more information, call 020 7686 6000 or visit our website uckg.org. Click on to uckg.org for all the latest happenings at the UCKG Help Centre. It's dynamic, interesting and full of content that will add to your daily life. Keep up to date with all the latest info on events up and down the country at a UCKG closest to you. There's something for everyone and you're invited. Check out what we've done previously and update your calendar with what's coming up next. Ladies, especially for you, presenters and authors Nanda Becerra, Esther Becerra, Chris Cardoso and Viviane Freitas share with you advice on becoming a better woman. Read their top tips on health, beauty, love and well-being, all aimed at helping you become the woman you were created to be. And if you're looking for food for the soul and personal development, then check out messages from world-renowned spiritual leader Bishop Macedo, as well as character-building blogs from Bishops Renato and Celso Jr. It's spiritual intelligence for your life. And for all you young guys and girls, why not check out our section dedicated to youth? Real talk, real advice, and a whole lot of fun. Catch cool clips of their shows and listen to the catchiest VYG record tracks. Want some inspiration? Watch our live transformational videos, recent programs, plus all the promos and coverage of some of our best shows and events.
This is Finding Answers, and we are here.
Finding us is easy. Wherever you are in the UK, find the UCKG nearest to you at a click of a button. uckg.org. All you need at your fingertips.
Welcome back. Here's another video of another volatile relationship between mother and daughter. In this case, stepmother and stepdaughter. Have a look.
Mother-daughter relationship number 2, Heather Mills and Stella McCartney. Stepmoms and stepdaughters have a long history of amnesty, but the Mills-McCartney feud takes the cake. The growing tension exploded in October of 2006 when Mills accused former hubby Paul McCartney of abusing his first wife. After learning of the accusation, Paul's fashion designer daughter allegedly screamed at a family gathering, "Why did you marry her? She's been manipulative from day one." Stella's final revenge against her amputee stepmom emerged in November of 2007 when she unveiled a necklace of her own design that featured a single leg pendant.
I think it's very difficult to find one person who has sympathy for Heather Mills, right? I don't know why, perhaps for the way that the media spin the story, but that's a general idea. A lot of people don't like her, right? Now let's go back to Verona. Verona, when that tragedy happened of the house blowing up, how did you feel? What was going through your head at that point?
Thinking back about it now, at the time, I couldn't believe this was happening to me, because all I felt was, how did this happen to me? How is this happening to me? You know, I recall the day when I was told the police had come to the refuge and woke me up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Told me he was in an accident, didn't actually give me all the details, and said he was in a terrible accident. He was taken by air to a hospital in Essex, and so they needed to drive me back to my parents' house in Hackney, and then transportation will be arranged for me to be taken to Essex. When I got to my parents' house, I waited for them to come, and they came to get me, and I remember the officer saying to me, "Mrs. Leon, there's no need, your husband just died." And you know, to this day I have a blackout from the time that I heard those words till the very next day.
You can't remember that?
I can't remember.
Now, it's very important to mention that you lost your husband in the space of 3 months. He didn't change over a period of years.
No.
In 3 months, he became this completely different person.
Yeah.
Did you start to have thoughts like, you know, how am I going to bring these 3 kids on my own? How am I going to do this by myself? Were you thinking like that?
Well, when it happened, when he died, I began to think about all the things that he'd done. And I began to think about my actions, and I began thinking, what did I do? And the answer would always come back, nothing. You know, I was a good wife, faithful wife, good mother, and I felt I didn't do anything wrong. And then I became very angry when I realized that...
Angry at what? At who?
At him.
At him.
I became very angry at him, to the point that I said I wasn't going to bury him. You know, and I remember saying that if he never died, I would have killed him, because I felt betrayed. So
you were very resentful
of
what happened?
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that you hated him? Did you get to the point of hating him?
Yes, I did. I remember at his burial, standing at the grave and looking, and my children were with me and thinking, you're selfish. You're just so selfish. How could you do this?
What are the challenges for someone who was bringing up her kids all this time with someone by her side, all of a sudden finding herself by herself? What were the challenges that you faced at that point, from there on?
It was very difficult for me, extremely difficult, because I was not educated. I had left my school, and something that I forgot to mention in the beginning, you know, because I came to England when I was quite young, and he was still in the Caribbean. So when I came here and I wanted for him to join me, I remember my mom saying, well, if you want him here, you're gonna have to work. So I left my college, I left my course at college, went to work in a factory to save, to send for him. So I ended my education because of him. So when he died, I was without education, without qualification, didn't have a clue about how to find a job. And not only that, he had gambled our savings away, and I never knew about it until I went to the bank to try to get some money out to bury him, and then I was told, well, you've only got £1 on your account.
Really?
So I was left homeless, no clothes because he burnt our things, no clothes, no furniture, no home, no money.
So it's already difficult to have a start from scratch by yourself, but with 3 kids, it's really hard. With
3 kids, no money, no home, extremely difficult.
And that's what made you hate him even more, perhaps, right?
Yes, I felt if he never died, I would have gone to that hospital and I would have killed him.
Now, years later, bringing up your kids by yourself, what kind of problems did you go through in your family, with them, with your parents? What kind of stuff happened? Because we don't have a lot of time, but I want people to understand how powerful your story is. What did you go through with your kids, your parents? How difficult was that for you?
Well, I became the mother and father to my children. And I felt my husband had let them down and I wouldn't do the same. So I educated myself and I worked and I supported my children. But the thing is, when this happened to me, I had no choice but to move in with my mom. And my mom then became my rock. She became my everything because I felt my husband had let me down. There's my mom, I can trust my mom. I can depend on her. She'll never let me down, never disappointed me. And that's how I began building my relationship with my mom. And we had a really close relationship. And then I met somebody else and, later got married again. And we decided to build a new life. Did
she approve of this person?
She approved of this person. Okay. The relationship with this person, her relationship with him was really very good. She trusted him. She loved him. And so when we decided to move to the Caribbean, she offered to give us a gift of the deposit of buying a house in the Caribbean, which he accepted. The proposal was made to him and he accepted, against my own wishes, because I wanted to do this by myself. But he went against what I wanted and took the money from her, and then we bought a property in the Caribbean. I moved to live in the Caribbean. Our first year in the Caribbean, we invited my parents over to spend our first Christmas with us. When they arrived in the Caribbean, my mother decided that the house we had bought with the deposit was hers, and she wanted it. And so that's where the problem started. And at the time, my husband was saying, well, it's my house. You gave me the deposit. I can now return the deposit back to you, but you can't have the house. And she would say, no, it's my house. You bought this house with my money, so it's my house. And then it started from there. But the problem with that was the fact that the property was bought on my name, because at the time, I had a St. Lucian passport, so only St. Lucian passport holders could actually buy land in St. Lucia. So it was bought on my name. And so when the problem developed with my husband and herself, she was saying, well, she came to me and said, you transfer the property onto my name. And I said, well, I can't do that because I know the house is not yours. And so the relationship became very bitter from then.
Did that affect your marriage as well?
It did. It did.
What happened to that marriage?
That marriage, later on, we divorced because I blamed him because he went against what I wanted and did what my mom wanted. So I blamed him, and I was saying, well, if you never listened to my mom, we would not have been in this situation. And my mom, it was like she hated me because she was going around telling everybody I am a thief. My daughter's a thief. She stole my house, and because of the things that she was saying, I became very depressed.
Now, you already hated your other husband who had killed himself. You hated him.
Yes.
Did you start hating your mom?
Oh, yeah.
So now you hated 2 people.
Yes.
Even though your ex-husband had died, did you still hate him?
I still hated him. I would talk to him.
How can you hate someone that's dead?
Well,
I know the answer to that because a lot of people do it, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. When you think about it today, if someone dies, you can't hate someone who's dead, right?
Well, you can, because I did for many years, and I felt good about it, because for me that was my revenge, if that made any sense.
But the only person that revenge was hurting was yourself.
It was myself, but I didn't know that at the time.
So at this point you had now another failed marriage. You hated your mom, you hated this other person that, your first husband that had died. Did you hate the second husband as well?
I didn't hate him.
This one you didn't hate?
No, I didn't hate him because I felt my mom was responsible for the breakup of that marriage. I felt she really was. So all my anger, all my hate was towards her, and the lies that she was saying, the things that she was saying. And for me, it was very difficult because I was a mother and I was thinking, I would never do this to my daughter. What she was doing to me, I couldn't imagine doing what she was doing to my children. And so for me, that made me feel even worse towards her.
You must have become a very bitter person, huh, Miss?
I was. I really was, because I stopped talking to her. I didn't speak to her at all for 2 years.
For 2 years?
Yeah.
Now, after the break, we're going to find out how your family changed, because something very interesting happened. Your daughter did something amazing, right, Shireen? And that brought a total transformation. You're going to find out after the break. But before the break, let's look at the third story of famous mother-daughter volatile relationship.
Mother-daughter relationship number 3, Tori Spelling and Candy Spelling. The reality star's feud with her mum possibly goes back to the womb, but really heated up when her father, television producer Aaron Spelling, left most of his fortune to his wife. After Tori cut ties with the Spelling family, Candy hit back, telling the press it was sad because that's what killed my husband actually. He just didn't want to live after that. Although Candy and Tori have made attempts to reconcile, the pair's relationship is still on rocky ground, with occasional outbursts aimed at defaming each other.
The UCKG Helpline Call Centre is open 24 hours a day, every day of the week, all year round. If you need help due to a serious problem you may be going through, if you feel that you have nowhere to turn to and desperately need someone to lend a listening ear, then we can help you. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have done, your religion or race, your call will be answered by someone who genuinely cares about you and has your best interests at heart. We also arrange home visits for the housebound and hospital visits for anyone in great need of kindly human contact. Whether it is simply information you want or desperately need someone to talk to, we're here for you on 0207 686 6000.
My anger started off an argument between my dad and my mum constantly. I was 6 years old and my parents would be arguing every night, and they split for a period of 6 weeks, and I'd be staying with my mum, but I'll have an anger building inside of me because I'll be having a grudge, that thinking that it was her fault that my parents had broke up. And when they got back together, My mum was pregnant with a little sister that I was gonna have, but she died at birth, which brought up more anger inside of me. I came to this church where they gave me practical advice, prayers that helped me to overcome this anger problem. They also taught about faith, how your faith can do anything. So I believe that my faith can help me do the impossible by making me controlled, not being angry no more. Today, my impossible has become possible because my anger that I thought I wasn't going to get rid of is now gone. I'm now a happier person.
Welcome back. Now, Verona, we don't have a lot of time. Can you tell us about the change in 3 minutes?
Yes.
It was a big change, but you have to try. Where did the change start? What happened?
Well, it started because I became very suicidal, attempted suicide 3 times, very depressed. So my daughter Shireen, which is the eldest one, she attended the church when she realized we were having so many problems. And one day she sent me a pillowcase, which was blessed.
A pillowcase?
Yes.
She blessed a pillowcase in the church?
Yes.
And on Sunday, we are going to bless a rose in the church. We say, James, a rose. Yes, a pillowcase. Can you imagine a pillowcase that's blessed? And did that make a difference when she sent you the pillowcase?
Yes, it did, because I wouldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep at nights. And when she sent me the pillowcase, she said, promise me you'll put it in your pillow and go to sleep, go to bed. And I did, and I slept. And that's how it started. And then I got better and better and better. And I came to England to visit her. And she asked me to attend the church with her, and I did. And I started attending. I received counseling. She received counseling. My mom received counseling. Today, through all the help that we get, because we had a lot of family problems, but we received a lot of help, lots of counseling. And because of that, today we're together, united. I can actually say I do love my mother now. I have forgiven her.
You don't hate her anymore?
I don't hate her anymore. I can say she's the best thing that has ever happened to me. I love my mom.
And she loves you back.
And she loves me back. We've realized where we've gone wrong. She's realized where she's gone wrong. And our relationship is better than before.
And what about your kids, your children?
My daughters are they're wonderful daughters. They've all done very well. I'm very happy. I have a very good relationship with my daughters. And one thing I will say is, because of the mistakes my mom has made with me in my relationship with her, I have used this as an example. And I try every day not to repeat those mistakes with my children. So because of that, we have a very good relationship, my daughters and I.
So no more hatred? No more bitterness, resentment.
No.
All that's gone.
All that's gone.
And you have today, thank God, you have a united family.
I have a very united family.
Just the last question. What is your advice to that mother who maybe, or that daughter who maybe has a relationship with, between each other like you had with your mom at one point, where they hate each other, where they can't get along? What's your advice to them? If there's one thing you can tell them, what would it be?
Seek help. That's one thing, because I tried to solve the problem myself and I couldn't. So what I would say is to anybody who's having problems now in their relationship with their daughters, with their mothers, seek help, because that's what I did. My daughter, she went looking for help and I accepted the help, and today we are very blessed.
Okay, thank you very much, Verona. And one more thing, no hatred is worth holding on to. Would you agree with me? You can look at me now. You were looking there, I was sitting down, but now you can look at me. But no hatred is worth holding on to.
No, because actually when you hate, you're actually hurting yourself. At the time, you really don't think that you are, but really you are hurting yourself. So it's not worth it. And forgiveness, it's really very difficult to forgive. Most people think it's easy. It's not an easy thing to do when somebody has done you wrong, but it is worth doing.
Okay. Thank you very much for being on the program, okay?
Thank you.
Now, we're just going to have enough time for the mail of the day that Carla is here with me. She's going to read. How are you, Carla?
I'm very good, thank you.
Okay?
Good evening to all.
You're relaxed?
Yes.
Good. Go ahead, please read the letter of the day, the mail of the day.
All right, it says, my parents have recently separated, but the way it appears to me was that my dad was keeping up with the payments on our house. So I moved out with my mom and my siblings. I spoke to my mom about the situation as she was extremely close, as she assured me that she was not going to divorce my dad. That is just a hard time for me. Since then, she began seeing another man, and when I questioned her about it, she only shouted at me and dismissed me. I felt that the love I had for her slowly turned into hate. Our arguments turned into fights each day. I feel like the world is crashing down. She was the one person I believed would never lie to me. How do I overcome this disappointment and hurt? I don't want to hate my mom anymore.
Well, her name is Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa.
Right?
That's it.
Vanessa, I think we already answered that when we spoke to Verona just now. There is no hate in this world that is worth holding on to. And ideally, children would want their parents never to get divorced. Ideally, a child would never want to see her mom or dad lying to her. Ideally, none of these things would happen. But I want to remind you that nobody's perfect. And trust me, at some point when you have your own children, you're going to make mistakes as well. And you would want your children to forgive you. So the best thing is to try to pray for your mom, try to be there for her. And if she's making a mistake at some point, she will realize it. But she doesn't need anyone blowing a trumpet, showing a flag that there's a problem there. That's not going to help. So don't hold on to any grudges, any hate. Let that go and try to be as close to her as you possibly can. I want to make a special prayer now for all the mothers, daughters, families that have been torn apart by problems similar to what Verona's went through. Hatred, separation. We're going to be making a prayer for you. Now prepare your glass with water. Let's talk to God.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer.
My Lord and my Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus, we enter your presence right now because we know that family problems are very real. And all families, I won't even say most, but all families at some point, they go through problems. They go through moments where there are arguments, separations, no matter how much they love each other. So I pray that whatever it is this family is going through right now, whether it's mother and daughter, father and daughter, couple, whatever it is, that whatever is bringing separation, troubles into this family, my Lord, let that be removed right now. Bring peace inside this home. Let that fire of hatred, resentment die out, and may that be replaced with understanding, with peace, with joy, so that this family can once again be together and enjoy each other's company. My Lord, may the rose that this person will receive in the church on Sunday be a symbol of the peace and the love that will exist inside their home. I bless this water. If this person is praying with me and perhaps they have a knot in their throat because of so much bitterness that they have when they remember their family members, may this water wash away this pain, this hurt. Whatever damage has been there from the past, let it be repaired through your mighty hand. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. You may now drink of this water. Well, that's all we have time for tonight. I want to remind you, sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need an outsider. It's very interesting that sometimes an outsider who may not know your family can help you who are on the inside of the problem to fix that situation. And if you want help, we're here for you. The number to call is 020-7686-6300. Even after this program is over, we'll have some people who will be available to speak to you in case you want to talk to someone about any problems that you're going through. Until next time, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.